we first discovered their message in the void between stars. Our scouts were astounded. Such a primitive probe outdated anything they had seen in eons. That the oddly shaped craft found its way across our path was, in itself, an anomaly of universal proportions. Magically, miraculously, the hands of fate had cradled that probe across the cosmos to present it before us. In it, we found the hopes and dreams of a race, a civilization, a voice, from a pale blue planet they called Earth. Deciphering their languages, their technologies, their biology took us precious little time with our knowledge and advancement. We came to understand that they were an illustrative species, with some notable intelligence, their diversity bridged by a common love for self-expression. That they expressed themselves in ways perhaps beyond our comprehension, but beautiful nonetheless. That they sought solace in many of the things they sent into the void, and among those things was this message. This is a present from a small distant world, a token of our sounds, our science, our images, our music, our thoughts, and our feelings. We are attempting to survive our time so we may live into yours. We hope someday, having solved the problems we face, to join a community of galactic civilizations. This record represents our hope and our determination and our goodwill in a vast and awesome universe. What we did not understand was their plight. When we set sail across the stars in search of their planet, we hoped to induct a new member to an intergalactic coalition, to find before ourselves a world of evergreen beauty, having delivered itself far beyond the message it had sent so long ago. What we were faced with was tragedy. The planet we found was barely recognizable, orbiting a crimson red giant on the outer arms of the galaxy. At first glance, we thought we had set our path to the wrong coordinates, but as its scorched face turned itself to the dying sun, we were forced to accept that we had come far too late. From the moment we set foot on that ancient, scorched soil, ruin engulfed us. The atmosphere had been ravaged, the land consumed by catastrophes of eons past. It was then that we understood. The message they had sent was not a precursor for what was to come. It had been the peak of something that once was. Where oceans had once run, we found chasms. Where trees once reached for the sky, we found deserts. Where life had once roamed, we found death. And where hope had once flourished, we found loss. Their achievements, their glories, and their failures. Countless shrines they built for themselves, in recognition of all they had built. Every struggle, every high and low, none survived the test of time. Yet, miraculously, the faintest traces of life remained, huddled furtively just beyond the reaches of the dim rays of that red sun. Microbes and saplings hunched in the darkness, embracing the shadow just as they had once reached for the light. We took samples carefully, standard protocol for those desolate planets we came across. So we began our efforts to uncover a world that had once been. We were careful to remain respectful, and we worked in silence, oppressed by the lingering taste of death. Our excavations took longer than expected. Rarely did we chance upon planets so ancient. Very few messages had the resilience to look the void in the face and stare it down for 1,000,000 years. Yet, on a probe so primitive we barely recognized it as a spacecraft, their voice had fought fate to reach us. We were now the custodians of that world's last echo. Even then, this one was different. Our scans yielded results that at first we refused to believe. Their last survivors had walked this land at a time predating any other known species of life. Like children first learning to walk, they had stumbled from the universe's cradle, alone, born far before their time, before ours, yet endlessly searching for the future we lived in now. The message had not been an invitation, nor a peace offering. It was a confession that they were uncertain of their place in the void. The piece of a puzzle not yet made, searching for a meaning not yet written. Our prehistoric ancestors, the first to walk this universe. Their passing was, in the strictest sense, the blink of a galactic eye. We knew, though, that for them it was anything but. Life clings to life, strains against death, even when they stand eye to eye. So, as we stood on the graveyards of an entire race, we silently honoured the fight they put up. Undoubtedly, They were afflicted by those hallmarks of sentience: war, disease, misery, conditions as universal as life itself. Likely, they fought among themselves, locked in the abyss, unable to escape the world they found themselves in. Of course they would. The only differences they ever saw were between themselves. There had been attempts to leave their planet behind. We found other ships, primitive, much like the drone, their understanding of the laws of the universe still budding. But what could have been? Had they lived to our time as they had once dreamt, perhaps they could have guided us, reached heights beyond even what we had achieved. We didn't dwell on this. After all, in desolation we all came to be the same, even them and us. Dust on the interstellar wind. Their message, their world, our analysis, it all led us to understand their history, their biology, and their culture. There was, however, one thing we didn't understand. What it was to be truly alone. To their dying breath, they raged against the tides of time. Perhaps if they had stood together, united, they would not have been swept away. We hope that was not the case, and perhaps across the cosmic infinity there is a ship on which their survivors escaped, a rejection of the destiny once handed to them. So, in the light of their dying sun, we prayed for the lost race. A race once called humanity.